Hi, I wanted to do a subject today which is called running with asthma. Now, as a child, I used to get asthma really bad, and I'll be gasping and gasping, in the night season, really bad. Eventually, I had a inhaler, and that cured things. And by the time I left school and started work, my asthma had all bit cleared up. In fact, I'd be very surprised to use my blue reliever, which is salbutamol, more than once or twice a year. But then I took up running maybe 10 or 12 years ago, and then things changed. I found myself becoming asthmatic oftentimes, and I found myself tending to use my reliever, salbutamol, more and more. I discovered also that, sometimes as I increased my speed and length of the run, I discovered also that I might have to take my reliever, my blue reliever, maybe 2 times during the run. And certainly I would always, most times, take it at the end of a run. So I was very, very dependent upon my salbutamol during my running. Oftentimes I said I would take it at the end of the run and not at the beginning. But then I changed things. When I ran a 10k or 6 or 7 miles, I would have about 1 hour or so to do it. It would take me that long, and by the end of it I'd have been slightly asthmatic. But then in 2015 or so, I started taking 1 puff of my salbutamol reliever before I actually started running, and it transformed my ability in running, my performance. So I knocked between 5 and 6 minutes off my best time during each of the different combinations of distance I'd done. In fact, if you looked at my records, because I keep a record of all my runs I've done since 2015, you'd see about 7 or 8, 9, 10 highlighted bits saying new record since I took the salbutamol reliever before I actually began to run. But then a few years later, our little boy had asthma. He doesn't get it so bad now, and he had to take a steroid, which was just a 50 milligram puff. He had 2 50 milligram puffs on a steroid. And one year I had bad I had such a flu and a bad cough afterwards, and the cough irritated me no time, and I couldn't run. I was wheezing and asthmatic. It was a right nuisance. So I started taking his steroid, mild, very small dosage steroid. And lo and behold, for about 6 weeks, I had no asthma at all in my running. It was like a transformation. So after that, my asthma nurse called me, like they do once a year. And I said about it, said, no, I shouldn't be doing this because I've not been prescribed it. And she said she decided that to give me this preventative rather than the blue reliever, salbutamol. So clenomodulate is the one that I was given, and I was to take 200 milligram doses in the morning and 2 in the evening, which was a light dosage for an adult. And it transformed again my whole running. After about 6 weeks, I was just about to give up on it. It took 6 weeks to work because of the chest infection I had. But after 6 weeks, suddenly I didn't need to take my reliever. So at the time I was taking my reliever as well as taking the clenomodulate, the salbutamol also. And I found myself not needing to take it. I remember taking my blue inhaler with me, as I always carry it with me, and I still do as a precaution. But I found myself running the whole way without having to take it, and it was brilliant, a wonderful feeling. And since then, my running with asthma, having a mild steroid morning and evening, sometimes I miss it, but morning and evening has really transformed my running. So I never or rarely have to take my blue salbutamol. In fact, maybe in the last 10 months, I think I've taken it once. But during a time of mild chest infection and COVID time and all the rest of it, I did take it quite a lot, more to open up the airways to be able to get rid of the mucus inside the lungs. So I recommend that if you're an asthmatic and you're taking a salbutamol reliever, so you just take that when you feel asthmatic, and within 2 or 3 minutes your airways are opened up and off you go again. If you're doing that, I would suggest to you for a runner, get to your doctor, your GP, and ask if you can be put on mild steroids, because it's far better to be able to run without having to stop to take a blue reliever or puff a salbutamol or whatever medication types you have, than to just take a reliever in the morning and evening, and when you run during the daytime, there's no problems. You never get asthma at all, or out of breath or tight-chested. Your performance will be better, your lung capacity will be better, your tidal volume of your lungs will expand better, everything improves. And not only this, the very active running and exercise and really exercising your lungs, it increases the tidal volume. The tidal volume is that part of your lungs that never really gets exercised because you just breathe in and out. But when you're breathing deeply, you're breathing in deeper and fuller and out fuller. And that gets the other parts of your lungs really working well. And it also means that being a lot fitter, it means that your resting heart rate is a lot lower, and the amount of breathing, movement of the lungs you have to do to get oxygen into your bloodstream is a lot less because you're fitter. And that also means that when you do get a nasty cold or a virus, chest infection, whatever, that most people would be struggling if they're asthmatic, you will find yourself a lot more in a good place, and your breathing will be a lot better even in those rough times. So exercise is brilliant for asthma. And if you want to do running, if you've not really started it yet, get into it. Go to your GP, sort your asthma out, and you will really be helped by the exercise. I really recommend good exercise. I mean, I do about average of 25 miles a week at the moment. That's what I try to do. But whatever works for you, get the steroid if you haven't got one, get the exercise, and your asthma will be wonderfully under control, and your fitness level will increase, and you'll feel so much better. So that's my, as it were, my running with asthma review.